when Joanna invited me, I was a bit nervous because, so basically I'm Gilles, I'm a biologist. I'm doing a PhD in neurosciences. And neurosciences is something which is, I guess, is something which is a little bit off the normal things that go on here. And I was a bit nervous because I could talk.
That's why we love you.
I'm still nervous. Because I could talk from so many stuff that we do and that we think, but then I didn't want to be like pedagogical. I don't want to be like a teacher-like kind of a speaker. So I think this is going to be sort of a chimera of stuff. I hope it works, and I want a lot of discussion and debates, or if you find something that you don't understand, let me know. It's a short presentation, and I already took like 1 minute to go through the introduction. So, can you see this?
Damn, what's in that file? I have to reboot again. Hey, Dwight, do you want an Altoid? What do you think?
In school, we learned about this scientist who trained dogs to salivate at the sound of a bell by feeding them whenever a bell rang. So for the past couple of weeks, I've been conducting a similar experiment.
Dwight, want an Altoid? Okay. Altoid? Sure. Think twice. Good, good? Yes, sir. What are you doing? What? I don't know. My mouth tastes so bad all of a sudden.
Yeah, see? So basically what happened here, this is a case of like classical Pavlovian conditioning. It's like something that you really learn from the beginning in school. And it's like one of the foundations of behavior studies in neuroscience and psychology. And basically behavior is thought to be a relationship between things that was shown here. So there is a stimulus. In this case, there was like the sound of the beeping of the beep beep. And then each time that the guy did the beep beep, he gave the other guy a reward, which was like the bean pie. With time, the guy just associated the beep with getting a reward. So you saw it like then in the end he pressed there was some noise, but the reward didn't come. So this is like what we can call about like habitual behavior, and is something which is repeated and then which the brain acquires and use basically a very fast and clean way of doing an adaptive behavior and generating a behavior response. So maybe I'm getting a bit too complicated already. If I'm basically there's a problem with.
Stop you, don't worry.
There's this problem which people debate with, which is like the tragedy of knowledge. When you have some knowledge and you think that other people know what you're talking about, but then you just keep going. But whatever. So basically, I study behavior in my lab. I don't study human behavior. I study rodents, and I can show you a little bit of the behavior that I study. So what you're seeing here is a rat, and the rat is in a box, and is filmed from above, and this rat is poking here in the center poke, and he's getting a stimulus. Instead of being the beep beep of the other guys, getting an odor. Rats are very good at smelling. And this is kind of an habitual behavior, kind of a Pavlovian behavior already, but in the beginning we had to train them. And basically what he's doing is that whenever he gets an odor, like say bee, he has to go to this port here where he gets water. So it's not a mint, it's water. And he keeps going, he keeps doing this, and he's very good at doing this, but even if he's trained for a month, he still does errors. He does mistakes. So with this kind of approach, we neuroscientists, what we can extract is very small, compartmentalized, specific sets of behavior variables. So, for instance,
but you gotta be thirsty, right?
You gotta be thirsty. So these guys, they we give them a little bit of water during the day, but the most source of water is when they go to the box. So they go there and they work for the water. And so basically here we can, because we have like LED sensors here, we can measure reaction times. We can measure how long do they tend to do certain given types of choices. We measure how good they are doing what they do every day.
Sorry, the reward is in the bottom hole?
The reward is here or here.
Okay.
The reward will depend on the
choice
on the order that I give.
Oh, okay.
So then there's
so they smell it on the center hole and then
they smell it on the center hole,
okay.
And then they choose.
Mm-hmm.
This is very easy, and we can vary the difficulty of the choices by making mixtures of odors. Say, basically what I'm asking is whether you're smelling roses or oranges, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I can make a mixture where it's like a rosy orange, and then this turns out to be more difficult. So this goes into an idea, which is basically we are animals that do decisions every day, and we live in a noisy environment. So the environment is full of different stimuli. So say that I'm in a traffic jam, in a traffic light, and I want to go, and I know that for green I should go, and for red I should stop. Now sometimes people just go, and you can think of it like maybe they don't understand what is green or what is red. Okay, so it might be that the perception part is wrong with them, or they actually know what is green or what is red, but they don't know what to do with it. So the action part is wrong. So the learning part is wrong.
Maybe they are colorblind.
If they are colorblind, the perception is wrong. So basically, what we think about decisions is that, okay, we acquire a given stimulus, you generate a motor action, and then you get some outcome. And you just do some actions because of outcomes, because of things that you like. And you keep repeating it, and you learn by it. So if you do some given action, and then you don't get the outcome, like the other guy which stretched the hand and then nothing came, you won't do it again, or you will do it less. Okay, so my job is train these guys, and then I'm a neuroscientist, so I'm interested in the brain and where in the brain stuff happens. Okay, I could be interested on where in the brain the decisions happen. Okay, and in my case, I'm interested in something which I won't show you, but basically I'll just tell you. I'm interested in confidence and how basically confidence can be a measure of quality of decisions. So basically, you do decisions, and you can be correct or wrong decisions, and you have a degree of confidence of how good your decision was, and you can use this degree of confidence to then adapt behavior. Okay, but I was telling you that my objective then is to look at cells and neurons, and does anyone see a neuron? Do you guys have a clear picture of what a neuron is?
No.
Yes.
I think I studied that when I was in high school. Does that count?
What would you say it is? It's like a box? Is it like a tree? Is it like a...
It's like molecular spreading.
It's like a cell spreading, yeah. It's like arms.
Exactly.
So this is how neurons were depicted and drawn. These are drawings made by a very important guy in neuroscience, which is a Spanish guy, it's Ramon Cajal. And this guy in the beginning of the last century, he drew tons of pictures of neurons, just looking at brains, drawing neurons, and still now this guy has drawn the most complete collection of different types of neurons and different types of things in the brain. Now these are neurons from the 21st century. What you see here, and it's supposed to be, maybe you don't understand it very well, like the image is not so great, but you see these things are these things here, and then these projections here is these things here, and they are all color coded, basically because the guys that did this engineered molecularly the neurons such that they would express the proteins which give different colors. Basically, neurons are cells. Cells express proteins. That's what they do. They're factories of expressing this stuff. And by combining, genetically modifying these cells, they could get these amazing patterns. And if you see the brains, the entire things are amazing and beautiful. But what do you think neurons do? I mean, So
create links.
say that.
Create links between the stimulation that we have.
Yeah, they create links between basically, yeah, they're the conductors, right? So basically the neurons are, if I'm here in this room and say that I'm like I'm the neuron in the center of my brain, and I want to know what's happening down there, I would rely on that guy there. Hello, I don't know what's your name. So you would be my sensory neuron, and you would see someone approaching, and then you would talk to that guy and that guy and that guy and that guy, and then eventually you would come to me, and then I would know.
So it's like a chain reaction?
It's like a chain reaction. It's like, and it's a chain reaction of electricity. Basically, they are electrical elements, electrical cables of this circuit, which is the brain. So because they are electrical elements, you can measure electricity from them. So you can put the electrodes touching the neurons, and then you see as if you would put a microphone. Something is some music is coming. You put a microphone. I don't know if there's like any sound designer here or something like that. But if you put a microphone, you know that's like sound waves come. So that's what neurons do. They produce this type of sound waves. And basically, I'm going to show you one of the first examples of this kind of thing. So what's important here is actually this sound. So what you're going to see here, you're not seeing anything. So first, let's see if I can stop this thing. What? Oh. Anyway, maybe I'll explain first. So you'll see a black, a black screen, and this is a neuron which is recorded from a cat which is looking at this screen. And then you'll see a white bar of light going like this. So neurons have properties, which is that they are at this level. This is measured at a very sensorial level. They are tuned, so basically they like to respond to just simple elements. And the element that you will see is that a bar will be going like this, and only when a bar is at a set and fixed position, it will start being excited. So, and this is basically what you'll hear is that the electrode is connected to a speaker, and is being basically the activity is being introduced into sound. So this is the normal firing of the neurons because your brain is always active somehow.
So the white bar, what is it?
This is the bar.
Yeah, what is it?
It's a light bar.
Yeah. How was it produced?
This is from the 60s, so I guess it's just a lamp. Okay.
Okay.
So the guy is looking at this,
Okay, the guy is looking at it.
and now if the bar is here, it doesn't work. The bar is here, it doesn't work. Only when it arrives really there, it starts working. Is this perceptible?
What do you mean with working?
Working meaning the sound. But I'll start it
You
again.
have to give me the setup. Like there is someone looking at a bar of light
This
on
is-
the ground, or
This is an animal looking at this
okay.
bar of light.
okay.
Okay, and the bar of light is the animal is focusing this,
Mhm.
and the bar of light is going like this.
Mhm.
Only when the bar touches this place, which the neuron likes, we call it the receptive field of the neuron will fire.
So you will hear the neuron.
So
Yeah, I got the sound bit. I didn't get why.
now there's no bar.
Why does he only respond to a certain position of the bar? Is his head fixed or something?
Yeah, he's looking. Yeah, it's not moving.
Okay.
This is just to explain you a property of basically these are simple neurons. Neurons in the sensorial cortex of the visual part. So they respond to this, simple properties, which is the orientation of a bar.
Mhm.
And now, if you go to more complex kind of things, say I don't know, how much do I like beer or something like that. This will be a combination of neurons from the most sensorial part, the least, how to say this, complicated part, until basically the features, the simple features mashed up and create a combination which then represents the world and represents different variables which are more complicated in the world.
Complex.
It's Do I have I have 15 minutes, so maybe some time for questions or something.
I make a question. How does your work can influentiate, can help people get better decisions? Because you talked, your theme is about confidence in the decision process.
I mean that's another thing that I was thinking of. Should I talk about this or not? So I'll take a little bit of time about talking about this. So in science, I started in science. I forgot to say. So I'm a biologist, and I started doing science in a pharmaceutical company. So I'm going to derive a little bit until I get to it. In the pharmaceutical company. So I started in like the dark side of the force. So this is really the applied science. So everything that I was working there was such that someone would make some profit and maybe cure some disease. In my case, was depression and anxiety.
Not cure, but
provide some common, wealth or.
Because you don't want to cure. If you cure it, then there's no profit.
No, then it comes to my part. So what I do is basic science, or what I like to say that I do is basic science, and basic science is something more close to actually a creative process, like in arts or something. So basically, we are piling up knowledge to increase the knowledge pool, which maybe it doesn't help now, but it will maybe help in the future. So now I can give you some kind of bullshit that I can use to ask for money and grants, which then it's not bullshit, but it's not something which I'm really pointing to. So basically, if I can understand how the brain codes for confidence or uncertainty, which is just the opposite, so noise, I can try to understand, for instance, how people looking at data, say financial data, say that the market is fluctuating and people don't understand what's going on. So if I can understand how does my perception of this data varies with the variability, maybe I can prevent stuff from happening. Say that in my case I'm studying confidence and value. So how does the confidence that I have from a decision is influenced by what I'm expecting to get? Okay. So what I'm finding now, I don't know yet if it's true or not, is that actually the value of my decision does not influence the confidence. So basically, I do my decisions. Maybe they are good, maybe they are bad. I'm biased towards the most valuable decision, so I want more money, I go through there. But actually, my level of confidence is the same. So if I can then assess the confidence value of someone which is making a bad decision, then I might have like a more pure value of what the guy actually decided. I mean, this is going around.
Can you draw a line for like as an average behavior, or it's specifically by each individual? Like each individual responds to confidence and value particularly, or you can say like as average you will have this kind of behavior.
I mean, in my case, on average, they will respond the same, but each individual and each different times of that they do the decisions is variable. Then there's like in science we need to have because we rely on statistics and because we want to have things that can replicate and that are true, we need to have a lot of we need to average a lot. So we need to have a lot of people doing stuff and get a measure which is reliable. But of course, each individual is a case, right? But if you can handle the specifics of the behaviors of each individual, then you might have something to grasp and to measure. Right?
How close is your research to entrada, the famous mistake of
It's completely. I don't. It's a bit far away. Just because he does human behavior. He likes emotions. So is in this field which is emotions versus rational kind of thought. It's not as far away from me and Alzheimer research, for instance. So I'm closer to the Masi than I am from Alzheimer research or Parkinson research or something like that.
But doesn't confidence have an emotional side? How can you reach that part of confidence?
Confidence might have, confidence can be computed by a lot of stuff.
you're a biologist, basically. So how can you get to the part that it's outside biology?
Then there's this case. What do you mean by outside?
There is nothing outside
No,
biology.
I'm not saying this. I'm also not saying this. But what I'm saying is that, for instance,
Of course,
any
feelings,
any
have a
feeling, any
biology
yes.
reason, biological.
So say that I can grasp the biology, the emotional context
Mm.
of a given decision,
Mm.
then I can, having everything fixed, I can try to vary
Okay.
the emotional context. People study emotions like fear, or like.
But do you think it's fixed? You said if
No, you have to. Like the process demands that for me to try to understand what happens to confidence given something else, I have to set everything else but what I'm trying to measure. See what I mean?
The context, like you talked about measuring. I'm intrigued, a little bit intrigued on how do you measure such. For me, it's like it's hard to
So when you
understand exactly how you do it.
So when you have when you are in a fear context, for instance, let's talk about fear as an emotion. You have certain given behavior outputs of this, right? So say that you are crossing a road and some car comes and starts beeping. One of the first elements of fear there is freezing or escaping. Like if you don't have a place to go, you actually you stop. And that's not so good because then forever. But so there's behavior outputs of emotions. So if you can look at the behavioral outputs of emotions, and then you can correlate them with, say, confidence. So you can get a measure of the influence of confidence in the.
It's more obvious, no?
Of course.
Like confidence, it's not that.
Obvious.
No.
Yeah.
Is it possible, for instance, for someone?
Okay.
No. Say.
No, because she was saying that confidence is not obvious.
At least for me.
So the way that I'm training my rats to report so basically I ask my rats to report confidence.
Wow. So that's why you showed us the rats.
I just
Rats
showed
are
the
the
rats.
solution.
So basically my rats do that thing there, and then they what I do is that I do them a trick.
My rats do this.
That's amazing.
They go to the place where they get the water, and I don't give them the water promptly. I make them wait. So basically, the time that they are willing to wait for a reward will be a proxy for confidence. So, if they are willing to wait more, it's because they are confident that they made a good decision. Okay? If they are not confident at all, then they don't wait. And then I can, varying the difficulty of the stimulus, I can see that easier decisions have greater confidence, which are greater waiting time. So now if I want to study emotions, say that these guys are used to do this kind of thing and reporting confidence, and now I start scaring them, okay? And now I'm of course it's not like this, it has to be controlled, right? But then basically I see if, when I scare them, what happens to the waiting time? If I don't scare them, what happens to the waiting time? And, statistics and so on.
Is it possible for you to create a fearless rat, for instance, or is it possible that someone lacks fear? Fearless person.
I mean, there's diseases for everything, right? And there's in terms of fear, we already know certain parts of the brain which is responding. I mean, it's responsible. So there's these things on science which is like on science and everything else, which is like the causality and the correlation, or the necessity and the sufficiency. So there's already areas that are known to be responsible for fear reactions, right? And say that you have an injury in that area, then it might be that you are fearless. Now, there's also guys that did a study a couple of months ago, which basically they identified. So basically, they scared a rat. They identified the neurons that were responsible for this fear, and then they now just by activating these neurons without any contextual fear, they elicit the fear response. Okay? Basically, they forced the not they stimulated the animal to be fearful, even if there was nothing to be feared. The opposite can happen also, right? Now, if instead of now that you identify this set of neurons, if you make them irresponsive, now the same thing that elicits some fear will not make the rat fear. I don't have. Let's. Okay, so we went through the neurons, right? So this is like the simple recipe of neuroscience. Okay, so first the observation. Now the neurons are not firing, you're not hearing things because we didn't plug an amplifier to the neurons. What you were seeing is that these neurons have a protein which is fluorescent, which is coupled to calcium. Calcium is released when neurons fire, so do their stuff. And basically, what you're seeing here is activity of neurons in the part here, which is they are sparkling, right? So if you're putting an electrode there, you would see the same thing that I showed, like everything. So you do observations, right? But then you have to know whether the things that you're observing, or whether these neurons are responsible for a given behavior. So you have to search for the causality of the thing. So classically, you would do, this is very bad, right? It's the skull and something like that. You do a loss of function study. So loss of function is basically what people have mostly done. So imagine that you have patients which bumped in the head and lost part of their brain, and now they cannot do some stuff. Like the very famous case is this guy from the Mazu, which is Phineas Gage. So basically, this guy was a miner, like a guy that works in mines, and in mines you have to put some dynamite, and he was using some stick, this stick here, to put the dynamite, and the thing exploded and passed it through here until there. The guy was fine in the end.
What?
Yeah, the guy was fine. He could do, he could do his life. He could, whatever. He was good at maths and I don't know, no speech problem or something like that. But it turned out to be an asshole. Basically, he could not get. So this was a very nice guy in the community, friends with families and something like that.
It's normal. He has a stick.
maybe he was just pissed off. But what people think and have replicated this, and that he got an injury in the part of the brain which is used for generating, well, simply, I guess, emotions, but also like values, and basically you could not differentiate for things that were right from things that were wrong. So there's another case of a guy which lost a part of the brain which is very important for short-term memory. Patient M, that's what the name of the guy, which died recently. But this guy also, he was having a surgery in the brain, something went bad, and he lost a part of the brain, and then eventually could not remember anything that would happen, I don't know, a couple of minutes before, right? So this guy would come to the hospital every day. He would not remember that he had entered. He would not remember shaking a hand to someone. He was always repeating himself. So basically, then people derived that this brain part was responsible for memory. Okay. So this is the loss of function kind of a thing. Now, cool thing would be if you actually pick this area and make a gain of function study. So what you're seeing here is an animal which, maybe, let me explain before. So what you'll see here is an animal which has a light fiber, like an optical fiber, things that you have in the brain, and then the fiber is shining light. The cells of the brain are modified such that light will produce neuronal responses. So genetically modified such that light will produce neuronal responses. So what you see here. Say it again?
What kind of responses did you produce? Couldn't hear the word.
Neuronal responses, excitatory responses. So basically, these guys are controlling brains through light, and they're seeing that if they shine the light in this part of the brain, the motor cortex, they'll make the rat spin like this. Okay, this is not for fun. This is to understand the function of this part of the brain. So that's what you're seeing here. This is the molecule. The mouse is going like this, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually you don't see the light, but the light is shining and is going like this. So this part of the brain is responsible for generating movements on the left side of the body.
But how do you know that this part of the brain is for knowing what's wrong in that guy? But how do you know that in me it's not in here?
Say again? Sorry. Yeah,
how do you know that it's fixed?
In you, it's not in
yeah, maybe in
like
you
this.
it's in here, but in me it might be in here.
I mean,
is it
it's
possible to be different from human being from human being?
Normally, it's very fixed. Normally, it's very fixed. Like you know that the part of the brain which is responsible for seeing is this part, the cortical part.
Yeah,
And then for hearing it's like this and all that. And normally it's like this to everyone. And you know this by looking at many people, right? Yeah, you don't need to do this kind of strange stuff. If you put someone in a scanner, you've seen like PET scanner, something that can be used to. If I need to stop, you just stop.
No, it's okay.
So basically, a scanner, you can see also the activity of neurons. Now, instead of being electricity, it's just a different flow of blood that goes. So you have like a measure of activity, and you see that if you put some visual stimuli in most of the people, it shines here. So the activity goes here. Okay. Now, if you are blind, for instance, if you get blind by an accident, what happens is that the brain is very plastic, especially the superficial part of the brain is very plastic. So if you get blind, this part of the brain will be occupied by something else. It can be that if you are blind, touching will light up this part here. The thing is that we are animals, right? So we get raised. I mean, we developed basically the same way, right? Your mom and dad had sex, and it's you, right?
I don't like to
then it's me, right? Everyone comes from the same type of thing.
I came from Paris in a little bird.
Yes, so that's sorry. There's different people. So basically, we are all, because we are human beings, and not only that. I mean, rats and mammals, which are more farther away from us, actually share the same biological constraints. So the brain will be more or less the same. Like for instance, rats have a really big part specialized for olfaction, which we don't have. We have a big part specialized for vision. But because we are visual.
For example, can one person have an injury, or for example, two persons have injuries in the same part of the brain and reacting differently? One that becomes a healthy, normal person, and one that does not. Is that? I
guess so. If I mean, there's not much regeneration in the brain. There's some, but not much.
I'm asking this because you were talking about short-term memory loss, and I have that. I have an accident.
Oh my God, I'm not a doctor, right?
It's really interesting also to understand, because when I had this accident, the doctor said they have no idea if I will ever recover short-term memory, and I'm okay. I'm fine.
Yeah. So it was not so bad as like having a complete.
Okay.
So just to reach a conclusion, how did you? I had this question. How did you decide that this was going to be a field that you would want to work?
So
how did you get here?
So it started because I was working in this pharmaceutical thing, and I was doing molecular biology, which is basically looking at water, which is not different from anything else, and I wanted to see behavior. I was very interested actually in drug addiction and how substances of drug abuse can elicit different types of behavior. I was very interested on that, and yeah, basically I wanted to see animals, people, or I wanted to see behavior. I wanted to see how this behavior is generated by whatever it is. It turns out it's the brain.
Where do you work now?
So this is where I work. I work in the Fundação Champalimau, which is there's like a big building next to Algiers, And basically this slide was just to say that I do decision making, but there's a lot of people that do stuff like sexual behavior or motor learning or innate behavior. So stuff that, or social. Actually, we have people that do social. How two animals interact, which is very strange, right? And then you can try to think like, do we need science to understand this or not, or what the science brings, which other stuff doesn't bring, and this is the kind of type of debate. Let me just
ask something. Are you working along with psychologists at the same time, or is that's not?
I work with a psychologist, which is actually, first he was a clown and then he was a psychologist. I work with physicists, electrotechnicians, biologists, biochemists, mathematicians.
So
It's a multi. Another thing that we do, and this is try to push this idea whether science has a role in society, which is not just explaining facts and generating truth, is trying to converge stuff. Like for instance, so this is basically things that we do more or less once a month in the Champagne, which is called the R events, and we've done one from studying creativity. So we invited, in this case, Vic Muniz, I guess you might know, and a neuroscientist to be. It was full. I couldn't enter. I did the post and I couldn't enter. It was we did the maths and food. It's not here. So basically, just trying to merge science and whatever it's important in society, not just by the eyes of the scientist, but by the eyes of many other stuff, and trying to get this debate. Okay, maybe we're not we don't hold the truth here. We have something to say, and it's also good. I wanted to also to throw this out. I mean, it's also good to not rely that much into science that is being told by you or the newspaper. Right? We found out whatever. Normally, we are really reserved and trying not to get ahead of our feet. It's always good to debate stuff. And
where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
I don't know actually.
Like concerning the work.
I don't know actually.
Or 5 years from now.
So because now I'm so I also do some I like to do some design, and what I see now, because I'm a bit fed up, but I think it's just because I'm trying to finish my PhD. Yeah. So I see myself as trying to merge quantification of data and visualization of data in infographics.
Okay.
So if I
it's biology and design all together.
Yes.
Okay.
Another way of, if I just go through science, I want to study social behavior and how complex networks of decision makers interact between themselves. I don't want to cure Parkinson. My grandmother has Parkinson, but I'm trusting everyone else to do that.
Okay.
And I want to also show you other stuff that I do, and this is something that happens once a month. The next thing will happen on 19th of November in the Primeiro Andar, which is a bar in next to the Neuro. So basically, this is a place where me and Alex, which is here, and another two friends, we gather, and we invite people to gather like we are here and share performances with us. And it's another way of trying to connect. For me, it's another way of trying to connect to, society, not being close in my lab. And this is the final thing that I want to show you, is that you are not your job, right? So basically, okay, I'm a scientist, but I like to do other stuff, and I bring to other stuff the way I think about science, but I also bring to science the way that I think about other stuff. And I don't know if this is I don't know if this is good or not, because we are really in a society that wants you to be truly specialized in something. But I think it's
So you are confident about this?
I don't think so, but still deciding.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Making
you.
errors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.